Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, everyone. Francisco here. If you don't know me yet, I'm Francisco, current marketing lead at adplist.org and founder of Led by Community. I'm really excited of having you today. We are kicking off our special event series named Talks and Pros from Led by Community with the collaboration of my friends at Better Mode. Better Mode is a community platform, very flexible with a content management system. Amazing. If you want to learn more, just like click any of the blogs below. You can explore the community templates that they have built, nicely designed. And also, if you are an enterprise and you want to learn more or even book a demo, you can also have a click in that box and you are able to get in touch and learn more. That's everything regarding Better Mode. Thank you so much to our friends for sponsoring this series. Today is an exciting day. It's our very first event. I'm really pumped. I took I got enough, I don't know, braveness to try to be the best host for Jenny Wigglebones today. I'll do my best. I'm not expert hosting events, but honestly, from my heart, I'll do my best for you. We can learn so much from Jenny that I'm really excited and looking forward to all that she has prepared for us. Okay, so without further ado, I think that we should just bring Jenny on and say hello. Jenny, welcome.
Hello, Francisco. Hi, everyone. I
Woo!
feel so honored. Francisco, you're doing the best kind of hosting from the heart, and you're also very organized. So, looking forward to this.
Woo! Yes. So before we kick off, just you could use the chat. You put there an emoji to reflect your feelings right now. I don't know, the party, happy, craziness, anything you like. Just put a comment so we can see. We have already 35 people connected. Thank you for coming on time. You are on time to get started. What else we could say? Well, you can see my pretty t-shirt. I'm going to hide for a second the name tags. I'm going to go back a second and my Mac out. You can see my logo and Conference Plus. That means so we are organizing an in-person and conference happening in London on September 25th. Is Wednesday. It's the same place where we ran the Community Led World Summit. So for anyone in London around the 25th of September, you are most welcome to join us for this in-person event. You can just go to this website and explore the events, and you'll find the conference to learn more. Now, I think that we are good to go. Jenny, I'll bring your slides on, and then I'll give you full stage. All right?
Thank you, Francisco. Whew. We are talking about a big subject today, but I'm going to try to keep it as light and informative as possible. We are talking about closing out the year strong, and I'm going to cover 5 action items with all of you. And again, thank you for being here this morning. In case you're wondering, like who I am, if you've never heard me before, heard me speak, or aren't aware of me. Oh no, it's doing it again. Hold on. Um. Oh darn you, Canva. Let's try this.
We are here, no problem.
There we go. That's what I wanted you to see.
Okay.
um, I am Jenny Weigel Bonds. Francisco, it is showing the picture of me like this, right?
Yeah, it is. It is.
Okay,
It is.
thanks.
One second. One
Okay.
second. Give me 1 second, Jenny. I'm going to get everything ready. All right. Yes. All good.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay. All right. So, everyone, hi. I'm Jenny Weigel Bonds, and a few things you should know about me. I work with enterprise brands as a fractional community director and on specific consulting projects. I started working with online communities in 2010. And actually, I say that 2010 was the first year I got what I deem a real job working in online communities, but I was dabbling in things a little before that. You want to know some other things that were happening in 2010? Because time is flying so fast here. That's the year Instagram was founded. It's hard to believe, right? Uh, and that's also the year of the Lost series finale that aired. Now, we don't have time to go into the discussion. If you are a Lost fan and you had strong feelings one way or the other, we should talk another time. That's also the year that the film The Social Network came out. And at least to my family, like my career was legit because now, at the time I was working with social communities and they're like, oh, they're making a movie about this. So, yeah, so my family was kind of, oh, yeah, now we understand a little bit more what you do. I'm like, no, that's not it. So that's a couple of things about me. Oh, Probably the last and most fun fact. I used to be a Santa Monica tour guide. I'm based here in Los Angeles, and in between roles, I wanted to pick a job at one time that I would just have fun with. And it was the most fun job I've ever had. So if anyone comes out here to Los Angeles, visiting the west side of town, and you want tips on things, I'm your person. All right, that's a couple of random, fun, important things about me. And I'd love to know a couple of things about you all. What do I need to know about you? What is something important I should know about you, or just some fun random fact? Throw it in the comments real quick. Oh, and I'm seeing we have such a great group here, Francisco. Oh my goodness, I love this. Let's see. And names that I'm familiar with. Good to see you, Serena. Nice to meet all the new people on here as well. Anything I should know about all of you? Random fun fact. Besides where you are joining us from, Mark likes to grow pumpkins out here in the States. That's very you're coming into your season here. James has DJ'd on 3 continents in 5 countries. Woo! We need to get James for a community event if you're still doing it, James. Um, and Serena likes Korean TV dramas. Oh, I love learning new things about people. Awesome. Keep those coming, and we'll continue on with the presentation. So now you know a little bit about me. I can read your mind, and I know that you're thinking, why the heck are we talking about end of year activities? I mean, here in Los Angeles, it's going to hit 90 degrees Fahrenheit today, so it's still summer. We're talking about these things because I want to set you all up for a strong year, a strong finish, completing the best year you have ever had in your community. And if you're going to do that, some of the things we're talking about, you need to start now. I know it's crazy because what I'm going to go over, some of these tips are informative. They're not all fun, but they are going to be necessary, like I said, to finish out with a strong year. So, like the great Dolly Parton says, the way I see it, if you want the rainbow, you got to put up with the rain. The end of the year is our rainbow. All the stuff we have to do between now and then is the rain. We can do it, y'all. We can get through it. All right, let's get into those action items, shall we? All right, the first one being, you probably could have guessed this one. Review and analyze the last 12 months of your analytics. I mean, when was the last time you looked into your analytics? I have some clients I really have to press. I'm like, you need to know what's going on in your community. You need to know the behaviors. If you aren't sure which analytics to start with, look at a couple things, just like how often people are logging in, how long they're spending on the site, what pages are the most visited, what's the most popular content, uh, and start to get an idea of what has been working and not working on your community in the last 12 months. This is critical for setting up the next year. And I know people hate me for this one. When we start talking analytics, my clients are, oh, Jenny, not that topic. Um, so I want to know, what do you think when you see this statement? Give me either a word that comes to mind when someone says, have you reviewed your analytics, or an emoji. Use the comment section and give me a word. It please keep it friendly as far as PG. If it's a word about frustration, I understand. But give me a word or an emoji that comes to mind when you see that statement. Because I'm not only talking about community, I'm talking about looking at the analytics of your individual programs. Do you have a super user program? Do you have beta programs? You want to look at those as well. You want to look at your events and see what the best events were in terms of attendance, and maybe what maybe not as great in terms of attendance, but maybe you had some strong content in certain events. And specifically, which metrics did you meet and not meet pertaining to your goals? So this is a big one. This first action item, there's a lot to this. We could have done a whole session on each one of these action items, but I'm just trying to cover the bare minimum here. All right, I'm going to pop into the comments here and see informative. So, Frederick loves metrics. Good for you, Frederick. Love it. Amelia, I feel you on that emoji. Metrics can be, for me, very overwhelming. My mind doesn't necessarily think analytically all the time. So I really have to I have a whole process. I have to get into a zone. Keep them coming, you guys, if you want to add your word or your emoji. But that is our first action item. Moving on to our second one. Okay, that was all about collecting metrics in a numerical, quantitative setting. You don't want to forget about collecting the qualitative feedback. I'm talking one on one interviews with community members. If you don't have time for one on one interviews, I'm talking about setting up roundtables to collect feedback on the year, talking about gathering the results of any surveys that have gone on within the last 12 months. And I'm also talking about speaking to your colleagues about, especially those that might be utilizing the community, about what works best for them and doesn't, and also what they might hear customers saying about the community. You want to take a pulse on that. The qualitative feedback is going to be just as important as the quantitative feedback. And so you might be wondering, what do we ask them? What do we talk about? You ask them what worked, what didn't work for them on the community. What do your members love? What do they not care for? And what I'd love to see in the comments from all of you is, when was the last time you spoke to a community member via phone, Zoom, or in person? I'll say that again. In the comments, please let us know, when was the last time you spoke to a community member via phone, Zoom, or in person? Believe it or not, when I ask this of a lot of my clients and even some prospects, it's something I love to always ask people who want to work with me. Um, I tend to find out that from the executive level, that hasn't happened in a long time. But I once had an executive tell me that, yeah, I just last week talked to someone. But as I drilled in and asked more questions, his version of talking to someone was reading over some survey results about what customers have said. To me, it's not the same. So, collecting the qualitative feedback is going to provide you, in my opinion, the most rich feedback than any metrics or any numbers can provide. And that one on one time with customers and community members, if you can get it, will go a long way with them as well. Jumping into the chat, I see. All right. Meg talks to her customers today, all day, every day. Love it. Candace, daily. James, just this past Monday. Love to hear it. Erica, right before this call. Awesome. I love to hear this. And if you're sitting there like, I'm not going to enter anything in the comments because I haven't talked to a customer in a while. That's okay. Just take a little note to yourself to maybe call up a customer or invite them to something and have some one-on-one time with them. I love seeing this. Alina today, Sue every day. Fantastic. Bravo to all of you. All right. That was our second action item. Moving on to our third. Go ahead and begin that draft of your 2025 plan, your strategic plan, and your roadmap. Now, you might be wondering, well, wait a second. We're not there yet, Jenny. We're not like at the point ready to do it. Go ahead. Creating the outline is one step that helps you just get further down the line, right? So create the outline, and you can probably start filling in thing areas you know of. For example, you might already have a sense that one of the company goals for the year is not changing next year. So it's very likely that you might keep all of the information in your strategic plan that was pertaining to how the community will meet that company goal. So yeah, so this is a great thing to go ahead and get done. Knock it out of the park. Oh my gosh, I lost my prompt for this. Um, what I wanted to ask you all is, does anyone have any suggestions on where you get your outlines or templates for strategic plans and roadmaps? Please feel free to pop it in the comments and share. And I'd also love to share that on jenny.community under my resources page, I do have a free strategic plan template, which everyone's welcome to go and grab. But if you are utilizing a template or outline from somewhere else, let others know, because I think it's great to have lots of different templates at your disposal for you to decide which one you want to start utilizing to actually begin and build your plan. So let's see here. Okay. Like I said, at jenny.community under resources, you can get a free strategic plan. And I'm sure there are many, many others. Oh, and Hassan is saying Chat GPT is the best for a draft plan and roadmap. Excellent suggestion. Oh, Chantel says that Etsy has great templates. I never even thought to go to Etsy. Uh, Great suggestion. I love to hear that. All right, so you can get your outline going. You can get all of this started because now that you have hopefully reviewed your metrics, learned what's worked and not worked, you have collected your qualitative feedback, and you have looked at all of that information and decided, how did we meet our goals from last year and how did we not meet our goals? Then you're able to take all of that information and start building your first draft. And another reason I say draft here is because it's likely that your plan will need to go through a few iterations because you'll likely need to share it with a couple of different stakeholders in the company. That's quite normal, especially in the enterprise businesses I work with. If you happen to work for yourself or for a startup, you are probably lucky because you might not have to go to so many different stakeholders and show the plan and get buy-in and get approval and so forth. Uh, but it'll go a long way if they see that you've already got a draft that is mostly complete and that you have already reviewed all of the analytics of the last year and combined the qualitative feedback in to determine what you want to do differently for the following year. Let's go to action item number 4. This one is all around budget. Oh boy. Oh boy. The B word. A lot of people don't like the B word here. And some of you might not have to deal with budget. It might fall to your manager or maybe even someone above them. But I'm betting that many people on this call actually do have to deal with budget. The reason this is step number 4 is because you have to go through all of the previous steps to determine, again, what worked, what didn't work. What are you asking for in the next year? So when it comes to budget, you have to think about things like, well, are we going to need to bring on or migrate to a new platform, renew with our current platform for the next year? That needs to factor into budget. Are we doing any special projects with our platform that require professional services help? That is going to require budget. What about any swag or giveaway items that you want to have throughout the year to give to your top community members or to have for contests or any in person events? That requires budget. What if you want to attend any community related events, like led by communities, in person events? You're going to have to ask for a budget. If you want to have a membership with any community related organizations, you will need to request that in the budget. So again, we could have a whole nother talk about all of the details around creating a proposed budget, but this is a key thing that you want to start working on to request what you will need for the remainder of the year. And I saw on the last report from the Community Roundtable, this was the 2023 State of Community Management. What percentage of communities, of survey respondents for that particular study have a dedicated budget? And this was out of their best in class communities. So out of the best in class respondents, which is only a subset of all respondents for Community Roundtable, there's a certain percentage that have a dedicated budget for the year. Take a guess at what that number is. What percentage of the community respondents for the Community Roundtable survey for last year said that they have a dedicated budget? Give me your best guess in the comments section. What percent do you think actually have a dedicated budget? I know I'm probably talking to people on here who do have a dedicated budget and others who don't. Maybe it's quite a crazy, chaotic process to propose budget. All right, I'm seeing different percentages here. I'm seeing 40s, 45, 40%. I'm Amelia guessing 70. And Amelia, you're closest so far because it was 73%. Now, keep in mind that it was only out of their best in class survey respondents. And the Community Roundtable defines those survey respondents as the communities who have shown outstanding results. So it's really only a subset of people who take that particular community survey every year. But it was 75% of that group from 2023 who have a dedicated budget. So even though it's not 100%, there's still a lot of people out there who aren't working with dedicated budget or a process around their budget. And that can be a little chaotic for community managers. All right. Nice guesses, everyone. And Mark Siegel actually said 72%. Well, great guess, Mark. Sorry that I didn't see it in the chat. Apologize. There's so much happening, and I appreciate all of the interactions. All right. Tip number 5, or action item number 5. This is one I'm guessing you don't see on many end of year checklists. That's why it's really important to me to cover this one. Please give yourself the gift of a mental health check in, and advocate for your needs. Ask yourself, what worked for me this last year and what didn't serve me? What do I need to be in a position to meet and exceed my goals for next year to be successful? Please take the time to ask yourself this, whether it's on a walk or with a session with a counselor or talking to friends. I think this is a step that is really forgotten in most of the planning processes at the end of the year, because you've been looking so far at everything that the community will need and your customers and your members. But what about you as the community manager, as the community pro? What are you going to need? Does something need to change? Um, so I'm going to ask all of you to check in with yourself right now. In this very moment, take a pause, go inward, and ask yourself, what's something I need to ask for? I'll say that one more time. I give you permission right now to take a pause, go inward, and ask yourself, what is something I need to ask for? And you're welcome to share that in the comments if you like. I will share and be a little vulnerable here. When it comes to my own consulting practice, Jenny.community, uh, this past year, I was trying to get a better handle on my online meetings, my virtual meetings with clients. And so, to make sure that I gave myself enough time in my business for administrative things, I made Mondays and Fridays no meeting days, and I blocked it on my calendar as such. But did I follow that this year? No. So, something I need to ask for myself is to really follow the boundaries uh, that I'm putting in place for myself to properly run my business, to properly show up for my clients, to properly get the work done that I have promised to my clients. Anyone else willing to share what is something that you need to ask for next year? Frederick says more IRL gatherings with community members. I hear you, Frederick. I am also jonesing for more in real life opportunities here in Los Angeles. That is something that I have definitely needed, and I'm glad to say I'm putting in place for the rest of this year um, with some local groups. If anyone else is willing to share, uh, that'd be great. If not, I hope something is coming up for you that you can move forward on. And thank you for this comment, Serena. Thank you for this thoughtful and mindful comment. But I do hope this is something you will all gift yourself as you go through this planning process. Okay, we've gone through the 5 action items. But there's a couple of things you didn't hear me talk about that you might hear as you're reading or watching other presentations about how to wrap up the year. Okay. Moderation guidelines. You might be saying, but Jenny, when are we supposed to update moderation guidelines? I did not put this in here because with my own clients, I actually encourage them to put something on their calendar every 6 months to look at their moderation guidelines and see if they need any updating. If there's some subjective items in there, I encourage them to make the wording and the documentation more clear. I also encourage them to talk to their moderators about situations that might have come up that aren't covered in the guidelines. So really, that's just a personal preference. And I do recommend that every 6 months, and it doesn't have to fall at end of year, that you are doing this as well with your community guidelines and moderation guidelines. And then there's the matter of platform features. The various platforms are coming out with new updates and functionality all the time. How does that fit into this? Well, I personally like to stay on top of these things as they're coming out, as new releases from the platforms and so forth. I don't know what your personal method is for keeping up on these things, but if one of your strategic initiatives for the next year involves opening and unveiling a new section of the community, either a new discussion area, a new ideas area, a new knowledge base type of area, you'll want to make sure that you are up to date with all of the features and functionality of that on your chosen platform. So I'd say this is really just something to do on your own time and make sure that you are up to date with all these things because they do have an effect on your strategic plan. You need to know what is the latest happening on your platform as you implement and execute on your strategic plan. And then there's the matter of headcount. Now, I could have talked about headcount during the budget part of things, but uh, for many enterprise teams that I work with, headcount is an ask that's entirely separate from just the community budget ask for the year. And in some teams I've worked with, it's actually woven together. So because headcount can be its own thing, I wanted to say it separately. There's probably another presentation we could dedicate to what will it take for you to ask for additional headcount, because what I'm guessing is people on this call, you probably need help. You could probably benefit from another moderator, another community engagement manager, perhaps helping you, another community manager in general, or community operations person. And it's from my experience, it can be very difficult and challenging to ask for headcount. However, if you have done all of these steps and done your due diligence to prove that you have a plan for the year, that is going to look very impressive if you are also coming to the table and asking for headcount, because they're going to ask things like why, what do you need headcount for? It looks like you've got everything under control. And if you can point to those metrics, and if you can point to the qualitative feedback and make your case for why you need to bring on another individual, then all of the tips you or action items you completed here today contribute not just to your plan, but to making that ask. I'm going to challenge you all to take the first step right now while we're on this call. And that is go into your calendar. Yes, you can go off of the presentation and look for some time, some block of time, either 30 to 60 minutes. The more you can give yourself, the better. Maybe starting next week, if you can, starting this week, and set up some time that you can start in on these action items. I'm also going to challenge you to see if that block of time, if you can repeat it each week for the entire month of September. I hope you can, because this is you taking action right now to set aside time for you, gifting yourself the space you need to say, I'm going to start working on this. I'm going to dedicate time. I'm going to start going through the 5 steps, and I am going to finish this year off with a bang. All right. So, who's doing this right now? I want to know. Let's see. I don't see anything in the comments, so I'm assuming everyone is actually going to your calendar and doing this very first step. Francisco, are you doing this right now? Everyone should do this. Yes, that is the task. And Frederick has a great suggestion to add between actions 2 and 3. Review with your community, the personas, and your stakeholders plan. Add nudges to your plan. Excellent tip, Frederick. Yes, you should absolutely be looking at at the previous plan. Are your personas even the same? Do they need to be updated? Oh, Jenny says she has done it. She has added something to her calendar. Amazing. Love to see that. Excellent work, everyone. Setting yourself up for success. Now is a great time to open it up to Q&A. Francisco, would you like to lead us in that?
Yeah, I'm coming back. I'm coming back. Jenny, that was amazing, beautiful, very, I would say it's a big reflection. So for instance, this year at Better Mode, we launched the customer communities kind of open to the public in February 17th with 600 members. And then last week we were 4,800 members. So it was a huge, huge splash of members. So all this, kind of flow, all these steps going back will be really helpful, for to understand how things are going. I was asking, to our friends to start sharing questions in the chat. I would say that your questions were like kind of so interactive that people got no time to share direct questions on these 5 points. They were just like replying to your comments and answering your questions at the same time. But I
Well,
think that
sorry to
yeah,
interrupt
go
you. The
on.
great thing about the 5 points, these same steps I have used with clients who it's not end of year for them, but they're looking to do some kind of big change on their community. For example, it could be a redesign. It could be adding a whole new category and section. It can be, I've worked with clients where they've had a customer community going, but their company bought another company. Now they have to like merge that community in. So the merging of communities, right? So anytime there is a huge major initiative like any of those happening on your community, you can come back to these. And these are each great steps to help set you up for what you're going to need to do to make change, introduce change. So once again, you need to review your metrics. You need to collect feedback, qualitative feedback from people. You need to look at the new personas, like Frederick said,
Yeah.
about now joining. So yeah, these are 5 very broad action items.
Yeah.
But
Do you?
yeah,
Sorry, I got one. For
yes.
instance, JD says redesign is on my mind this year. Do you have any tips regarding this stage? When this stage comes, maybe after a couple of years, no, we want a refresh or something. Do you have any tips for that?
Yes. So Jenny, like I said, you can lean into these steps. And one I would lean into the most was the second one about the qualitative feedback. I would spend as much extra time as your bandwidth allows on the process of either one-to-one interviews or roundtables with just a handful of community members per at a time. Because a redesign is such a big change for your community members. Um, I've found that the best feedback on how to implement a redesign, the timeline for a redesign, what is going to affect customers the most, has all come from um, rich interviews and roundtables. You can still get great insight from a general survey for people to fill out, but the best for a redesign has always come from one-on-one interviews and roundtables. And when you do these interviews, don't just pick your most active community members. Pick a plethora of community members who represent different states in the community. Like someone who's maybe been a member for a long time and somebody who just joined, somebody who is super active, somebody who's only been active maybe once or twice in the last month. You want to talk to people who are on different stages of their journey in the community for something like that.
Yeah, it's key. I think that the feedback is essential. We got one more question. This one is tricky, so let's phrase it. Let's talk about community metrics, popular content, engagement, etc., and how these can be tied to business goal in a SaaS environment, for instance, related to renewals. This one is like kind of touching many points at the same time, but probably you have some ideas and comments for this.
Yes, Mark, this is something I've had to set up with clients, and I'm working on setting up with a client right now. Because the key behind this, when it's a SaaS environment, usually your community is a B2B audience, is connecting the right integrations. And sometimes that can be very difficult, depending on how large the organization is, how many hoops you have to jump through, even just the technical setup. Um, for example, I've got a client working on setting CRM Salesforce right now, so that ties in with their community, but they also use a customer success tool. And the way that those systems were built is it's proving tough to do an integration. And I'll tell you, without those critical integrations, it's hard to get the data you need to prove that, oh, this customer has been super active on the community and they renewed faster, which is something you kind of want to study and see. Like, are the people who are the most active on the community, have been on the community the longest? Do you see different things in their accounts? Do they renew faster? Do they upgrade to more products and more services? Because when done right, I have seen those and I have seen that proven through the data. But unfortunately, it's really hard to get that information unless you have integrated the right systems. Um,
Makes sense.
and
This is good.
yeah, I hope that helps. Sometimes you need to bring in a data analyst for things like that too. It can be very tricky to tie all of that information together to prove success without the right integrations in place.
Yeah, totally. I agree with that. We have also one from Ruru. Oh, I hope I'm saying that correctly. Ruru. Ruru Hogan says, hello. I'm with a startup and manage your community building efforts, working with a tight budget. I'm looking for recommendations on platforms that could help. Any suggestions? Well,
There
we
are a
have one.
number of yeah, and feel free if our audience here has a suggestion to throw it in the comments. There are a number of platforms that are on the lower end of a subscription service and so forth. There are a couple of free platforms out there, dare I say Facebook groups, but there are businesses running things on Facebook groups. So, you know, Francisco, that I have a link to a list of platforms, and so does Led by Community. Is that something that we could send out afterwards, along with this presentation? Because
Uh,
it's a huge thing to get into right now.
yeah, I remember that you have this kind of the list of many platforms and stuff. I think that we can totally, when we send out the replay, we can include that link. Yeah, that will be fantastic.
Great. Yeah,
Yeah,
thanks, Ruru. That's a great question and a big one, which we're not going to have time to get into forever. But there are lists out there, and mine is just one of them. So you can start to look through the list and start, doing some demos and looking up research on which of those might help you.
nice. Other one is about. Oh, sorry, I clicked the wrong comment. This one. For instance, could you be able to talk about different type of people, new and ambassadors? Let's say this is probably like, how do you get the feedback? No, if you are kind of
Mhm.
bringing maybe new members of the community and ambassadors together on the same table, or you would talk to them separately. What is your take on that?
Excellent point, Jenny. I think if you know the personalities very well of these individuals, and you think ambassadors would mesh well with non-ambassadors, go for it. If not, then if you're at all worried about that, then I would do a round table of just ambassadors, a round table of maybe like community newbies, people who have just joined in the last 3 to 4 months or something. Um, because some people, if you're mixing the audiences, some people might hear about the ambassadors and kind of think, why do they get all these perks if that's discussed at all, right? And I don't. But you might also get people who are learning about the ambassador program through a call like that, and then are intrigued by, like, oh, this person's talking about the perks that they get as an ambassador. I might have to look at that program. So if you don't know the personalities very well, then I would err on the side of just keep like with like in the various roundtables.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with that. I have my own kind of take also on this idea of putting them together. For instance, I would say usually ambassadors have certain expectations of exclusivity also, and also sometimes they want to be with, let's say, with the head of community or with the product marketing manager, or kind of in a special I don't know, session. So I would say
True.
just be mindful that they are kind of expecting certain level of exclusivity as part of these perks, no, so they
Hmm.
don't kind of feel hurt, just so you know. Yeah, that's it.
That's a good point. Again, if you know their personalities and you know that they only want to speak with the community manager, they don't want anyone else on, they want that private time, then that you might need to grant them that for the purpose of getting this feedback.
Yes. We have one more. This one is interesting. It's Ishan. It says, I'm tasked with creating a community growth strategy. Where would be a good place to start?
Well, Ishan, I hope you are also registered for the rest of the Led by Community webinars that are coming up, because they're going to tackle all kinds of topics that will contribute to this. Um, but this was a great place to start, because essentially in these 5 steps, if you are a new community or you're being tasked with growing, it's still good to do all of these things except for step 1, because you don't have a community to review yet. But start with step 2, and definitely still reach out to people who would be your ideal community members. Start getting that qualitative feedback from them, and ask them things like, what would they come to the community for? What would drive them to the community? What would make them return to the community? Factor all of those things into your growth strategy. And particularly, you really need to know their personas. Where are they hanging out? What is important to them? What is distracting them too? What is taking up their attention from the community? Because you'll need to market your community in a way to get their attention and be appealing enough to pull them away from all the other distractions online. That's big.
Yeah, agree. For instance, one growth strategy that has worked really well between, SaaS or even other type of communities is kind of cross pollination. Let's say kind of, merge bash members from this community with this one and having fun together. That also can spark lots of growth, and it's still organic. So people will connect and have fun. So I think that is the growth of the communities is another challenge. Yeah, we have one of the events upcoming, as you said. For instance, from Margot, that is early stage success, how to build and grow your startup community. That's perfect fit. But also the one that is after this one next month from Edge and Sante is very kind of on the topic, driving brand growth through authentic engagement. So I think that both are very kind of aligned with this idea of growth for
Hmm.
startups. Yes, it's
Agreed.
exciting.
Yes. Well,
Let me see. Let me see if I
you got
found
any
more
more?
questions. One second. One second. One second. One second. Yeah. Oh, do you know what? I have one question. Uh, where could be the best place, or what could be the best way to build AI guidelines for my community? This has become
Mm.
a topic between the led by community members, and I was doing my own kind of research, and I couldn't find many kind of probably still new green, no, but it was not easy. So if you have any ideas, any thoughts, that would be fantastic.
This is a new area and it's really, really interesting. So, like many other community strategists, I've seen, moderation is kind of the biggest area of, sorry, moderation and content. I have clients taking advantage of AI for creating content, especially when they're a team of one community manager, they're doing it all. It has been such a help to help for them Um, uh, to button up their content, to get ideas for content for their community. So that has looked to be a really, really positive and helpful thing for my clients. From a moderation standpoint, I don't have any clients doing any AI or bot moderation. They're still doing moderation just for its individuals. But one of my clients, there was a little bit of a tense moment in the community when someone accused them of having AI moderators. That's how good their moderators are. They thought they were AI. Um, they're very personable, yeah, and they're following, all of the right things in the moderation guidelines. So, yeah, this is something we're going to need to continue to monitor because you also I can see also maybe people posting things, people as in community members, something they took off of AI, and there is an issue right now with AI generating results that are actually something written by someone else on the internet that's been uploaded in, and it's not being attributed, right? And
Yeah,
I want to caution everyone that when you are looking at things and then taking works and saying this is my own, do some due diligence first, because what AI might have generated for you might have been a copy of someone else's work somewhere on the internet. And I can see that being a problem and something that we might need to be adjusting our moderation guidelines to say, hey, we're not going to allow for things that aren't sourced. Um, and yeah, it's a tough area right now, and we're going to continue to watch it and see what happens.
yeah, yeah. I agree with that. We got one more from Samantha. If there is one thing or a few, if needed, that you think every community needs to have on their roadmap, knowing that every community is different, it might be hard to say, but in your experience, is there something that is effective for a yearly cadence roadmap?
Some point checking in with your client or with your customers, your members, whoever makes up your community, either on the phone, on a Zoom, or in person. That personal touch of actually hearing their voice, maybe even getting to see them if you can. And if you have a community with thousands, I understand this is not going to be possible to do for every single community member, but that personal touch is so crucial. And you would not believe how few communities actually plan for it and make time to do that, even if it's just with their ambassadors or a segment of their community. I think that is so incredibly key.
Yeah, that's amazing. For instance, I joined ADP List this Monday, and I already sent out an invite to our top 50 mentors of the month of August
Mm,
to have calls with them. No,
love
so
it.
because I want to meet them, I want to see how they're doing, what inspired them, what motivates them to keep coming back and delivering sessions. So yeah, I think that the touch points with the community is essential. Yeah, 100%, 100% with you. Thank
Yeah.
you, Samantha, for your question.
Yes. Thank you.
Yes, I think that we are yeah fairly okay with the questions. Yes. So Jenny, there is anything exciting coming from your side in the upcoming weeks that maybe you want to share with our friends now?
Yes, well, I'm excited that I'm going to be in San Francisco for giving a talk with the Community Led Alliance at their event. And so details are coming out soon about that. There hasn't been a location set yet in San Francisco, but I know it will be in San Francisco.
Uh-huh.
So I'm very excited about the in person opportunity there.
Nice.
And if you want it to put the screen up one more time, Francisco, I've got where people can find me and find my information, connect with me on LinkedIn or Instagram. um, yeah, and I would love to, connect with everyone who took the time to come here. So thank you so much.
Amazing. I'm going to put your website there so it is always visible till the very
Thank
end.
you. Yeah,
Yes,
and
Jenny
yeah,
dot community.
and like Dolly said about the rainbow, the rainbow is our end of year, you guys. So we finished strong. I hope you all go out and find your rainbows. Thank you for being
Yes.
here.
So today was a perfect session. Thank you so much, Jenny. In behalf of everyone who attended today, and on behalf of everyone who will see in the replay, because we know the time zones sometimes play against us, but I just wanted to show my appreciation, and that's it. Thank you so much for being with us today. All right. See you on the
Thank
next
you
one.
all.
Thank you, everyone, for
Bye.
coming today. Bye bye.